Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Thyroid Refresh TV, our video podcast. I'm Ginny Mahar, co-founder of Thyroid Refresh.
And I'm Danna Bowman, co-founder of Thyroid Refresh and co-host for today's show. And today we are thrilled to be chatting with Molly Hamill, certified life coach, Kundalini yoga expert, meditation enthusiast, founder of mollyhamill.com and Thyroid Thriver. And we're going to try to talk a little bit about upgrading your mindset from a negative space to more of a positive outlook and all that goes with that in between. Lots to cover. We have 30 minutes. It's going to be great.
So welcome, Molly. Why don't we get started maybe with you telling us a little bit about your story and your journey with Hashimoto's.
Sure. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here. I love what you're doing. Trying to simplify the whole thyroid journey is desperately needed. And I wish I had that when I was going through my roughest period with it, I have to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of like overachiever and, get things done and, all that, pretty positive type of person. And there was this point in my life where I just had no idea what was going on. I felt super negative inside. I was like tired all the time. I was gaining weight, like weird things were happening to my body and I had no idea what was going on. And, at that point I had been used to going to the doctor for an occasional sinus infection, but that was it. And so getting accurate diagnoses like Hashimoto's and leaky gut and adrenal fatigue took a while and took me making a lot of mistakes and fumbling through it. But I eventually got there, and it's, getting those labels can be a relief when you finally understand what's happening. And then it begins that process of healing, which is very great for many people in this area. And it was, again, another aha moment of like, wait, there's not a pill I can take to fix all of this. I have to change the way I'm thinking and how I process my emotions and how I eat and really revamp so many areas of my life to be able to heal this, and but that's ultimately what it took. And so here I am on the other side, and now I'm focusing on fun things, like really making sure that I'm expressing myself in all areas of my life and diving into clean beauty products and all the things that I now have energy to do that are kind of the tail end of healing, because obviously I'm in remission with things. And so that's the fun side.
Once so you get in remission.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. So what do you tell us a little bit about, what steps you took to get there?
Yeah. There's a lot. I'm going to talk about ones that probably people don't talk about as much. Obviously, there was the food stuff, right? I had to change my diet. And with that, it was really learning what worked for my body, because I found it really confusing even when I started to research how to use food as medicine. There was a lot of kind of conflicting information out there. And so I realized quickly it was like really about learning to trust the expert within. So that was a big thing for me, because I was used to taking food cues from everyone else, what works, what doesn't. And so learning that some things that are fine for my body maybe aren't for other people who have thyroid issues, and vice versa, and learning to trust that. So it was like rebuilding trust with myself. And through that process, it was having a lot of, on the surface, it looked like discipline, but what it really was owning my worth. And what I mean by that is like my identity as someone who, like as an eater before thyroid disease, was easygoing. Like I didn't like people who were picky and, can I have this dish for, dinner, but hold this and add this and do that. Like that used to drive me crazy. And I would kind of pride myself on being easygoing with food. And then I was in this space where I really had to be particular about what I was ordering when I went out to eat, stuff like that. And doing that was really like owning my worth. It wasn't about being disciplined. It was about owning the fact that I deserved to be feeding my body foods that would help heal what I was experiencing, so that when I woke up in the morning, I would have a little bit more energy maybe, or I wouldn't have a symptom like pain in my joints and things like that. Some of the common things that we experience as people who have Hashimoto's or, experienced it.
Yes, I just couldn't, I just absolutely feel what you just said. I always say this is about so much more than hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's.
Mm-hmm.
It's about really believing that you deserve to feel better and that you deserve to make the changes and even sometimes do things that we might think are inconvenient to others, have needs.
Yeah.
We get to have needs, and all of us, and to honor those. And that's been such a silver lining, I feel like, of this journey. I know for me and a lot of other people I know who are on the path, that it's such a good teacher in that way.
And I was going to say also, when you said that about you prided yourself on being easygoing, that makes so much sense to me, because I really did used to also be the kind of person that did not like the one that was over there going, hold the mayo, add this, do that. Well, but then the other side of that is learning to not be judgmental of those people. As I accepted it for myself and spoke my truth for the things that I needed, and I owned that, then I also had to take a step further and be like, and maybe you shouldn't be so easily upset by those people who are trying to own their own truth, who are trying to order according to what their body needs. And so I had to try to take it a step further, and I did get there, but living in Costa Rica helped with that, because expectations and judgments and things like that just aren't part of their culture. So it's interesting that you said that, because I had to do the same thing, because I was like, I'm so easy. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Oh, just whatever you're having is fine with me, And
so many of us do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because judgment was such a big piece of it for me too, Danna. Like, it was realizing that I was judging those people for being high maintenance. Right. And then on the flip side, when I was learning how my body was responding to certain foods, I had to really resist at first, scolding someone for eating gluten or things like that. So like my judgment flipped to the other side.
Right.
And then, this whole journey is really a journey of self-awareness. And then it was like coming back to the middle, like that's their journey. Like, if that makes them happy, if that's what they want to do, that's awesome. And really releasing that, because that's just burning my energy when I'm worried about what other people are eating or not eating,
It is burning your energy, and God, we don't even have that much extra when you're going through all this. So
no.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just noticing those points where you're like, this is really hard for me. Why is this so hard for me? And what's really going on here under the surface? It's not just about gluten,
No, I think some of it for me was I could hear my mom, or I could hear criticism, or I could hear things that made me feel not good about myself. So that's where some of it came from. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of self-awareness. You have to really dive in to get back out.
And just our society, right? Like the attitude of aggression towards our bodies, and you're never good enough. And it's not, you need to lose weight to be lovable, or you need to be a certain way to be lovable and accepted and worthwhile. And that's just, it's such a mindset shift into, I really deserve to take as good a care of myself as I do the other people in my life that I love. Why is it so hard to give that to ourselves sometimes?
And I think, part of it is like all humans have a need to belong, and food is such a component of our social lives. And, when we reject a food in a group, people take offense to that sometimes, and so we don't want to offend people, and we also want to belong. And so for me, the food issue is like, I want to belong with my friends. I want to be able to drink that beer or have that piece of cheese and, all these things that weren't really great for me when I was healing my body. And so learning to say no, but still feeling like I belonged in the crowd was definitely there were some mindset changes that I had to make to feel like I belonged without necessarily snacking on everything else that everyone was having.
So before we move on from the diet piece, you just kind of sparked a question in my mind, where are you at now? I feel like that is so common for a lot of us, and maybe this will be a comfort to others out there listening who are really just beginning their journey mm-hmm. and having to make all these drastic changes. Like, now that you're in remission, where are you at with food? Are you at a place where you have a little bit more wiggle room? Or do you feel like your remission depends on being disciplined?
No, I don't. I consider my body healthy. Like that's my mindset. Like my body is healthy. So my body isn't the same body as it was when I was really sick with Hashimoto's and leaky gut. That being said, I'm much more in tune with how my body responds to things that I eat. That was one of the gifts that I got from this journey. And so I know I'll probably get like a lot of comments and stuff, but I occasionally eat gluten. I occasionally eat light cheeses. I now am at a space where, you know, my sister was just in town. I indulged in some stuff and my body did great. I don't eat it every day. I'm mindful of what my body really loves and I try to balance it all because I think we're here to enjoy life, you know? And so if we can do that and still maintain our health and make decisions that are, you know, aligned with that, then that's the point. Because there was a point when I was not trusting my body that it had healed. And I was still being really rigid with my diet. And I was seeing a Chinese medicine doctor for something unrelated. And she helped me see that I was back into not trusting my body because I was still restricting so much in a way that I didn't need to be. So I think that there's like a tipping point with it. And then it's relearning like what can your body tolerate? What do you want?
Well, and you know, when you said a second ago, you know, you might get a lot of comments about gluten. Let me just jump in and say, I hope that we shift the paradigm and the mindset to where we don't have to think of it like that, where people are commenting because they're celebrating you, because they're going, yes, girl, eat that gluten, because they understand and they know the process that you went through, because, you know, you had to eliminate so many things that, you know, as opposed to feeling bad about I have my gluten. That's what life is about.
Mm-hmm.
For me, life isn't about never having gluten again. For me is how can I get back to that place where I can have the gluten and find the balance, which just sounds like you're at a pretty good place where you could have a beer if your sister's in town, or a couple glasses of wine, or whatever it is that maybe before, when you were right in the middle of your Hashimoto's flare and things that you couldn't do, but now you can. So to me, we're going to shift it and we're going to be celebrating. Those comments are going to be like, yes, I can't wait till I get there.
Well, and we're all so different, you know, that's something Danna and I talk about all the time, is that we are all bio-individual and we all have different unique needs. And, you know, we really thought about that a lot when we were creating Thyroid Refresh, that we wanted this to be a place of welcome for everyone, not a place of dogma where it was like, you have to do this or else you're not doing it right. You know, we all walk our own path. And I think you speak so beautifully to that, Molly. And I was wondering if you could maybe go in a little bit more into the piece about, you know, just like shifting your mindset a little bit. How did that happen for you? What can you tell us about your path to, you know, the emotional, psychological, spiritual piece of your healing?
Yeah, I love talking about that because I think that was like the key to my success. And because there are a lot of lifestyle changes that you make to heal these kinds of conditions. And one of the things was really noticing my vocabulary just in my head and also what I was saying to other people. For example, when I started cutting out foods to really understand what was affecting my body, I would go to a restaurant and I was like, could I please get the steak and could you please hold this? And you know, and I realized like I was giving away my power. and when I would ask like that, the response, oh, well, let me check with the chef and see if we can do that for you, you know? And I realized that I can be worthy of ordering whatever I want exactly as I want it in a way that is going to help my body. So it was so funny seeing the difference. Like literally the first time I did it, I just confidently said, I'd like the steak, extra vegetables, no, blah, 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 blah. Thank you so much. And the waiter was like, I'm going to add this into it because that's going to just make it great. And I was like, oh, cool, thank you. And then like my experience changed from then on when I became aware of like how I was saying things and how I was thinking things. And I didn't need approval from anyone to eat a certain way, but I was talking as if I did. I know that's really subtle, but there was like a million ways that I did that.
That's such a great example because that's so relatable. I mean, just the way you ordered your dinner, you know, and the way you changed that. And also maybe you probably did this. instead of saying, if someone says, what are you having? Right? And you reply with, oh, I can't have this, and I can't have broccoli, and you probably said, I can have these things. I can have this, and I can have fish, and I can have chicken, and I can have salad. And just that one little twitch, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then it's like joy. Like food is joy to me, who doesn't love food, right? And so, I remember my friends ordering their salads one night. Girls want to go out and get salads. Nothing wrong with salads. I love salads, right? But let's admit it, sometimes we get in girl groups and like we order salads and we feel like we should, And so some of my girlfriends order salads and a little cheese plate. And I'm like, I'll have the pork chop with the sprouts and bacon, please. And I was like, so happy to be like I outed myself with what I really wanted. And not only did I really want it, but it was really good for my body, So,
I love that.
There's some freedom that comes with it too.
Right. Yes. And just owning that. Yeah. I love that. And I love, the language piece. Like, it's so many people come to us, what can I eat? Or I can't eat anything. There's nothing left for me to eat. And I think that's something, it's like, we all have to get over these, stepping stone. We have to go for, stepping stone to stepping stone. They're like hurdles, right? And that's one of them is, you got to focus on the can, like when friends invite me over to dinner and, they're really have been amazing and mindful and, considerate. Well, do you eat this and do you eat that? And I just say, you know what, as long as there's some like kind of meat, fish, chicken, whatever, and like a vegetable, like a salad, I'm good to go. Don't worry about me. And I'll just bring like, hey, I'll bring an appetizer that I know I can eat, so I'm not leaving hungry. And it's like, it's just made all the difference in the world because our social lives are so important, and it shouldn't be like, well, I'm going to lock myself in a cave now and never, go out to dinner with friends because
I bet that made you
thyroid disease.
I bet that made you feel like, okay, now I want to go out again. With your friends. Okay, let's go out. You guys order salads and I'm going to order the whatever with lots of bacon, like,
yeah.
And it didn't make you want to feel like you should be locked in the room, like you said, that's kind of empowering. You're like, hey, I want to go. I want to order now.
Yeah, you learn new ways to participate in your life when you're making these changes. Like I come from a long line of women who love baking, and therefore I love baking, and I love doing it because it connects me with my Nana, who I was super close with, and she's no longer around. And, so at first I would make desserts that, were within my restrictions. And then I would like be hurt that other people didn't like them. Well, they're used to eating like full dairy, full fat, full sugar, whatever. So of course, maybe my treats were not that great. So then I learned like, well, I can still bake all of these recipes that my friends have grown to love. I can enjoy the process of baking it, and I can make something for myself. And I don't need to expect everyone to love what I'm making for myself, but I can do both. And then everyone's enjoying, at the same time. So it's learning to relate to things differently and like finding joy in new ways with some of the same things in your life. And food, I think food's the hardest. I run one of the programs that I run around thyroid. Module like 6 was around food, and I had to move it up because that was the thing that everyone was struggling with. And I kind of made that into a spiritual practice. I used my Kundalini yoga a lot around that, but I had a rigorous process like each morning that I would do to reconnect with my why. Why am I eating a certain way? Why am I making certain lifestyle choices to heal my body? Why is that important to me? What is that going to give me? And we can forget that quickly, so having a daily ritual to be able to reconnect with that is really empowering. And then I would do the same thing before I went out. So if I knew I was going to an event where there was going to be maybe a lot of foods that I couldn't indulge in, and maybe even some people that would try to peer pressure me or judge me for eating a certain way, I we'll go through a process of connecting with my why, doing some deep breathing, and setting some intentions for the night, and visualizing like how I wanted it to go and how people would respond to me and how they'd be supportive. And when I did those things, I was always much more successful, less tempted, and received, I think more lovingly by people. So, we're all energy, not to get too woo-woo, but people feel that, when you come in to a room and you're afraid that people are going to judge you, people are picking up on that. If you come in and you're centered in yourself with what you want from the evening, people feel that and they respond differently.
Absolutely. I love that. You mentioned your Kundalini yoga practice, and I was thinking maybe you could talk a little bit about Kundalini specifically, because it's something that, you know, I've been seeing a lot of since I've been on this journey. And I'm curious about why you think Kundalini specifically as a yoga specialty, I guess, practice has helped you.
Yeah, it definitely helped me immensely. And I mean, I think it was one of the keys to my success during that really critical period. So Kundalini yoga is known as the yoga of awareness. And so for me anyway, I had to change my relationship with working out. Like, I couldn't do it for a while. I couldn't engage in some of the more physical activities that I was used to because my body needed all of its energy to heal. And so I couldn't go to that yoga flow class and, you know, pick up this one and like all that stuff that used to be so important to me. And so there was something that in my soul that was calling, like, you need to do Kundalini, you need to do Kundalini. And so I just went, and I ended up getting certified in it and all this stuff. But there were two meditations that I used pretty regularly. One they actually use to help people with addiction issues. And to me, food kind of is an addiction in some ways. It's, you know, on a lower end, it could be like a ritual, and on the higher end, it could be an addiction in some ways. So
Sure.
I use the addiction meditation daily to help me kind of release some of the attachments that I had to certain foods, and especially when I was quitting sugar, you know, that was a big one. So I used that. And then there was what we call a Kriya in Kundalini, which is a series of postures. And that one targeted codependence, which to me, it just kind of made sense for me. Like, I was dependent on food in certain ways to maybe deal with emotions or deal with stress. And all of a sudden I didn't have that outlet. I couldn't just like reach for like the ice cream or whatever it was. Eventually I could, because I found, you know, ice creams I could eat or whatever, but it was like breaking that habit of needing to have those foods emotionally, which I didn't realize I was doing until I began to quit some of that stuff for a period of time. And so the Kundalini is, I mean, it's kind of like crazy in a good way, but you can be holding your arms up, you know, for like a 10-minute period. And what gets you through that is your mind, because it starts to hurt after about a minute of holding your arms straight up, right? And your mind is going to make or break that. And so building that mental strength, it's like Yogi Bhajan, who's the master of Kundalini yoga, he said it's like some of those meditations are like clearing the garbage from your subconscious. And so you're doing that, but you're also like building this mental strength, which is what I needed anyway to help me get through some of the lifestyle changes that I was making without just reaching to something else, you know? So instead of sugar, reaching to something else to numb it, it was like, okay, it's time to start healing, like truly healing. This is the healing work with the invitation in this journey, is to look at the ways that we're behaving that were affecting our health. And for me, Kundalini and a lot of the clients that I work with, Kundalini is a great avenue to get your mind on board and stronger and more aware of where you're at and how you can use it to help heal.
So is that what you would say is kind of what makes Kundalini different from other types of yoga, is the focus on building your mental strength?
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
And you probably gave you some coping techniques, right? Some strong coping skills. You know, like, who wants to hold their arms up for 10 minutes?
I know. I mean, even nobody does. It's insane, but it's like great insane, you know? And I remember Breath of Fire saved my life, because those, like that first month where I was going out to, you know, dinner, I guess food's really important because I keep going back to it, but, you know, I'd be going out to dinner with friends and I couldn't have alcohol, I couldn't have a cheese, I couldn't have different things. I would literally go into a bathroom stall and do Breath of Fire for 60 seconds to reset my whole system, because Breath of Fire, it stimulates your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So I always said it's like a natural glass of wine. It kind of gives you that energy that you want from that drink maybe at the end of the week, and it also relaxes you like that glass of wine would do. So I probably sounded like a lunatic in those bathroom stalls, but I didn't care, because I was more more concerned with feeling happy while I was with my friends and not being grumpy with them, or not being able to be myself when I was out. So that breath of fire, there's a million videos online, you can check it out, but that would be your best friend.
I love that, breath of fire. That just makes me think of Fern Olivia. You know, she's the founder of Thyroid Yoga, and she's done quite a few videos for us on Thyroid Refresh, and big fan of breath of fire. And, you know, coming back around to Kundalini in this realm of thyroid patients being specifically very helpful, you know, that's her specialty as well. So just kind of an interesting tidbit there.
Well, and also for me, you know, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to say, you know, yoga's been around for centuries, and it's been in the States for, you know, who knows, 50 years predominantly, where people are, you know, practicing and things. But it really started more, I think, you probably know more than I do, but it probably started more as a mind practice, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's 8 limbs of yoga, and predominantly what you see in the US is the physical, like, which is limb, and breath work's really important, and the mind, the consciousness. You know, they used to do the physical yoga to get into a space to be able to meditate and other things. So it was really just a tool to something greater. And not to knock it at all, it's amazing, you know, the yoga here, but it's just one aspect of it that we see.
Right. And so I believe it makes me feel like, you know, the Kundalini kind of ties more in than just if you say, I'm going to go to my yoga class down the street, right? You can feel that, you know, when you're watching Kundalini videos and you talking about it, that there's more to it. And that's probably where you get a lot of your strength from, right? You had to learn some techniques to power you.
100%. And like pranayama and breath work is also so powerful that, I mean, I like a little wine buzz, you know, I'm not going to lie. And so like some of these breathing techniques, you literally feel just almost like you just had a little sip of wine after, you know, you feel just like happiness. You feel like this little high after, and not every time, but like you need those little pick-me-ups, and to know that you can do that yourself with just your breath, you can shift your energy so quickly into such a happy place is so powerful. And in 60 seconds, like, you know,
and you're getting all those good happy chemicals without the negative side effects too, which I love.
Yes,
that's the best part.
Yeah,
it's like the wine without the hangover.
Exactly.
So are there other, you know, I love that, looking at that as a way to sort of hack your mindset, right? When you end up in a negative thought loop, which we all do because we get tired and things aren't going the way we want, or we're just having a bad day. Like, are there other things, little tidbits that you can think of that can help shift you out of that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, a mantra that I had, which I believe is true, and I'm sure you do as well, is like, my body wants to heal. You know, our bodies are doing everything they can to heal. And I think unfairly we can abuse our bodies for years, and we contribute to a condition that happens like thyroid disease. And then we want to be cured overnight. And with these things, it's a long journey. It's a lifelong journey. And understanding that our body is on our side, our body is like our best cheerleader and teammate and everything else, that when we wake up and we feel run down one day, it isn't an invitation to attack our body and criticize it, but it's an invitation to really ask, like, okay, let me look at the last week, the last day, like, how might I have contributed to this, if at all? And, or what is my body telling me it needs right now? I see that a lot online, and I understand it. It's a very frustrating illness to experience. But the more you can separate that out of, it's not your body trying to frustrate you. It's not your body trying to cause you grief. Your body wants to heal. You shift into a different place of not attacking yourself, which is supposedly what autoimmune is all about, you know. So let's not perpetuate that self-attack. Let's get into a different place, understanding our body is like our bestie. I was saying, your body's your bestie. It wants to help you. So let's help it help you, instead of criticizing it and attacking it if you're not feeling your best one day.
I like that. So, you know, as simple as your body's your best friend.
Yeah.
and believing that and using that and saying it and thinking it. And that's could be just as simple as that. I think that's really powerful.
You know, I think being mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with. I posted something yesterday. It was a little controversial, and it was like, you know, I would invite you to stop labeling yourself as like a hashy girl or the hashy life, because you're identifying with your illness instead of your wellness. And I totally get how it's easy to fall into that. And I did at a point too, because it's important to have community when you're healing, when you're in your healing process, because it can feel isolating. Your family members might not know what you're going through, your friends, everything else. So you want to be in touch with people who understand what you're going through. But there can also be some negativity with that, where people want to stay sick. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. We can become attached to the problem instead of the opportunity to heal. And so, you know, it's kind of like a daily thing to check in and see, like, is sharing this thing, is it helping my community, or is it keeping us kind of focused on illness? And one day we might just need to vent, you know, bring that negative thing out. But overall, how can we attach more to the healing aspect of it than the illness side of it?
So thinking before doing sometimes.
Which is hard for me too, I know that.
might be kind of, you know, hard for some people, but maybe really just simply thinking before doing.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that is a huge problem for a lot of us too, is, you know, getting almost afraid of getting better somehow. You know, something happens there, I think, on a really subconscious level, where we can get like stuck, you know. But
and
yeah,
especially I was going to say, based on that, you know, the fear, you know, people, they do want to stay in that place, but it's also probably, or maybe this is me being positive and giving the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just thinking that the reason that they're stuck there is because they're afraid of the work. They're afraid it might be too hard. They don't want to change. And so they're just like, this stinks, and it's easier to be into this stinks in that mode, where I don't have to do anything. I don't have to change. I don't have to get in movement or try anything woo-woo or whatever, you know, you may think, or people put labels on. And so they just kind of get complacent. And, you know, I have been there. And yeah. I think what helped me was thinking, well, this could be really hard, but you could live a better life and live longer, or you could just die. Like there's no, right? I mean,
it's such a human thing, and like, not, you know, judging any of us when we go to those places, because I think it is so scary, and this journey asks us to be so courageous. And sometimes the prospect of changing, I mean, this is really a metamorphosis, right? I mean, it's the butterfly metaphor. That change can be scarier than the prospect of staying where we're at, which is oftentimes a really compromised state of well-being.
Yes.
And anyway, Molly, you just have spoken so beautifully to all of this today, and we're so happy to have you here and to have Wildlight Tribe. Are there places, you know, online that you'd like to direct people to if they want to find out more about what work you're doing right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of in love with Instagram right now, so that's where you find me the most, just at Molly Hamill. And yeah, so I'm pretty regular there on stories or posting, and my website. Those are the two most frequent places.
And we are in love with Molly, so keep your fingers crossed that we'll be seeing her more on Thyroid Refresh as well. So,
right.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the work you're doing. It's so desperately needed.
Oh, well, thank you. It's so great to have you here. I just wanted to wrap up. We always try to wrap up with like 3 actionable takeaways from the show. And I took some notes. So if you don't mind, I'll go through my favorite Molly Hamill golden nuggets of wisdom. So for like really trying to shift that mindset out of, you know, negative and insecure and fearful thought patterns into a healing mindset. Trust the expert within. Your words. Love that. You know, it's so much about tuning into our inner voice and trusting it again. Our inner voices have been kind of quashed, I feel like, by our culture. And that's another, it's another silver lining of the journey for so many of us. Breath work as a, you know, little mindset shift hack, the breath of fire, that you mentioned can give you happy feelings, give you like a little bit of that, you know, oh, like I almost just had a glass of wine or something, and get you out of maybe a negative thought loop, or I'm not having fun, or I'm not good here, something, you know, is off. It can really help you shift things. So breath of fire, something worth looking into. And then your body is your bestie. That's another one from Molly Hamill, guys. This journey is an invitation to listen to your body and to tune in and ask, what do I need right now? Why is this hard right now? What's not working for me? How come I don't feel well? What have I eaten or done? Or what kind of stress am I under this week? And we're just constantly having that invitation to listen to the feedback and the wisdom our bodies are giving us. So those are our 3 highlight takeaways from Molly Hamill today. Thank you.
I have a bonus. So Molly Hamill bonus would be delivery. And that reminds me so much of how you were talking about your steak dinner, how you delivered your order one way made you feel, you know, not good about yourself, and how you changed just your delivery made all the difference. So Molly Hamill bonus, delivery.
Yes, the language.
Yep.
But thank you for being here, Molly, and thank you all so much for watching and listening with us here today. Thyroidrefresh.com. If you'd like to subscribe, you can go to iTunes and subscribe to Thyroid Refresh TV, our video podcast. We'd love to have you back for more shows, and we hope to see you again here, Molly, and around the Thyroid Refresh community. So thank you again so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Hey guys, Danna and Ginny here. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to click like and subscribe.
And we have a great free resource for you below. Just click the link. Thanks for watching.